Hey, welcome back to Call the Damn Leads, the show by sales professionals for sales professionals. I'm your host, Drew B. Wilson. With more than 2 decades in sales, I've seen it, been through it, heard about it. Now I'm bringing it to you, my favorite people in the world, the sales community. Because let's be honest, sales is the greatest job on earth. Doesn't matter where you come from, what background, what personality type, you can make an amazing life for yourself in sales. Today's guest, no stranger to the journey, my new friend, Mr. Brett Gallant. Welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you, Drew B. I'm so excited to be here. It's such a pleasure. I've been following the podcast and I love the energy and I get so much from listening to you and your guests. They're always entertaining and always a good takeaway. So,
I appreciate it. Excited to have you here. I know we connected through a mutual friend, Sebastian Rusk. Shout out
yeah.
Sebastian for being awesome. His show, go check it out if you haven't. He's a throwback episode on the podcast. But today, Brett, I want to hear your craziest sales story.
So I was thinking about this and it's so much aligned to the spirit of who I am, my entrepreneurial story. And we're going to go back a long ways, back when I was 12 and I was working as an ice cream salesperson for Dickie D. And
Take it deep.
yeah, and this means a lot to me because it really has set the tone for my sales career and my entrepreneurial career. I was given the route. I was a young kid, not really confident. I was given this route that was the worst route that nobody wanted. No one would ever take it. But I stepped up, I took it, and I learned something. I learned a lot from that job. And what I did learn was I drove and I learned where all the children were. And I would ring that darn bell really loud and go really, really slow. And the kids would come and say, ice cream man, I want some ice cream. And they would go, keep going back and doing the follow up to their parents and come back to me. And by me showing up consistently, ringing that bell, I turned that one small route to the best route in the city
Mm.
because I showed up, I would consistently followed up, rang the bell, and when I saw an opportunity, I seized it. And that's very much what I've done throughout my life. And, and I've learned this one important thing: the fortunes are made in the follow-ups.
Mm.
Isn't that true? Uh,
Oh, it's 100% true. And what I love about that story is that so many of us in sales and entrepreneurship, we learned it at a very, very young age, and we just didn't understand how it related to life in the future. And for some of us, it was the ice cream route, papers. I was a more of a degenerate in the things that I sold in those days, but here nor there, we all get the entrepreneurial hustle.
yeah.
And what's cool is that as you grow older and you get the experience to look back over it and go, oh, that's interesting. I never really thought about it that way until someone mentioned it. And when you have that much experience in a world like sales,
Yeah.
you get the opportunity to continuously refine and to continuously work on the product, the process, and the procedures. So for you, like when it came to understanding sales, I mean, you didn't know necessarily follow up and all the things that you do now when you were 12.
No.
So, what were you able to do with the success that you had from turning that not so great route into the best route in the city?
Well, as a young boy, it brought opportunities for me that I could invest in the fun things, the TV or the Nintendo, and 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 then also continually keep just pushing. And on top of that, I saw an opportunity a week before there was a tornado, and I said, okay, I got to try something different. I went and parked my bike by the outdoor pool, and I made $150 a day as a kid for the whole week because I recognize, hey, there's a pattern here. So if I put my bike by that outdoor pool, maybe something will happen. Something did happen. So like Wayne Gretzky says, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. So I went and took my shot, and I parked that bike and I've seen different examples along my way of doing that same metaphor that I was able to have other great things come into my life because of that. So, so
And what's super cool about stories like that is that it it comes with a lot of failure. You
yeah,
know, there was a couple places you went and parked that bike that you probably didn't see, but two or three people all day long, and you went, well, I don't think I'll be back here.
no,
And go ahead.
yeah, yeah, and so we fast forward to later in my life. Drewby, I do cybersecurity. We help companies manage their cyber risk, and I got to a point where I had to make a pivotal decision in my journey as a business owner that I had to say, hey, we're doing security first. And so I had these conversations I was uncomfortable with having. I said, look, I understand we can no longer support you if you're not doing cyber first. And I had a company leave because of that. And what I found though, when you come back again with new knowledge, which I got, kept working on myself and my process, went back to that very same client and did a consultative sales process that I have refined. I closed that very same client that said no about 4 weeks ago because I followed up and I went and understood their needs and showed them and really got to understand them from what their needs were and show them that what I had was of value. So
I'm big on the educate and entertain when it comes
yeah,
to follow up because a lot of times, in my opinion, there's really three main sales objections. There's the price.
yep,
And there's a lot of ways we can shake that up, but ultimately, either the value of your thing has not exceeded the price in the prospect's mind, so they don't see it as a thing that they want to do,
yep,
or you just haven't made them aware of why it's worth doing because sometimes people just don't have the money. Like legitimately, oh, like I would love to buy that $1 million mansion, but I don't have $1 million. But if you can help facilitate the getting of that money, well, that's all in the start of it. And so it really comes back to focusing on solving problems and
right,
helping
right.
people get what they're trying to get. And on a hot day, they might need an ice cream cone. And as they build a business and they start doling out laptops to their employees and logging into banking records and collecting customer data, then now they have a need for cybersecurity. And that's something that is
And it's always
such
the why. It's always the why and why I do it. And so I take them on this journey where we show them a little bit of pain, but education. So I show them how vulnerable they are and tie the reality. What would happen if you came in tomorrow and everything was encrypted and you couldn't work for 2 weeks or 1 week?
mm,
And Drewby, we know that some people are living from paycheck to paycheck. Unfortunately, some people are only two pays from being homeless sometimes, and we have this responsibility. So I show them that, and then we get to that pivot point in our process that we have for a presentation, and I ask this question: how do you want to manage your risk?
it's all about questions. When you ask
Ah,
the right questions, it gets someone to think in their own mind and process through solving the problem. And what I've seen is sometimes you try to convince a sales guy on your team. It's like you got to ask more questions. You got to ask more questions, and they
yeah,
just want to steamroll the customer through the script, and they just want to let me just get through the script because if you just get the script, then you're gonna buy the thing, and it never works out that way, unfortunately. The
no,
idea is, are you asking the right questions, and are you asking the right questions at the right time? Because
oh,
there's a nuance to that as far as you had mentioned, it's like, all right, well, hey man, could you go 2 weeks without a paycheck? That is
yeah,
not a question I'm going to ask first. It's going to be something I ask towards the end of the conversation. So it's important to understand that. So, Brett, I would
yeah.
be interested to know, like, over the years, you sold the ice cream. Now you've got the cybersecurity. I imagine you had a few other things over the years that you've sold and consulted on. What
Yep.
would you say has become like your superpower when it comes to sales? Like, what's the thing that makes you special?
I love being. I heard somebody say this to me once, and they said, "Brett, just be the best version of you." So my superpower is listening and being sincere, but at the same time, I love going into a sales process and keeping it light and fun. Um, I will joke if I have a really good rapport with my clients. I will make them feel at ease and joke and get that laughter and tell the stories. I've been exercising more of my superpower of telling the stories to help them relate because stories do sell, and we can all
Mm.
relate to a good story and say, "Oh, yeah, I can relate to that." Um, and that's been my biggest. I would say that's my super strength of of relating and showing up and connecting. So
What I love about that, because to me, there's a quote that I want to say I heard Ed Milet say it more than anyone else. So I'm going to credit him with it, but it's facts tell, stories sell. You
that's
know, I
I
could
heard it
sit.
from him too. Yes, yeah, you're
Okay,
right.
yeah. So
Yeah,
I,
yeah,
I think we're on the right track. Shout out to Ed Milet. Got to meet
yes,
him one time. Super nice fella. Amazing
okay,
what he's been able to accomplish in his life. But that's so true because, like, I could sit here and spit the facts at you all day long, and I'm sure Brett could tell us 1,000 different things and facts about cybersecurity, of how many people get hacked every year and how many businesses lose out on X amount of dollars due to these crimes that go on. But the truth is, like, those facts mean nothing to us if we don't have a deeper purpose or meaning behind it. And
yeah,
so the stories are what create that connection. They're what bridge the gap between someone who's over on the island by themselves, who's like maybe aware that there's an issue, but doesn't have to deal with it because there's no bridge. Well,
well, and I
the
try to help people get off that island. Like Brian Tracy says, sometimes we're on this island called Someday I'll take action. So I help people vote themselves off the island by like what Zig Ziglar says: if you can get what you want, if you help enough people get what they want, and I that resonates with me so true. So yeah,
I think that's, I mean, and this is what's so cool about sales, is there's so many different ways you can approach the process and the services of it.
yeah,
But the best of the best will tell you there's a few core things that have to be done. You have
yeah,
to build relationship. You have to get them to know you. You got to really get them to like you, and then there has to be a level of trust to where someone's willing to hand over their hard-earned money in exchange for your product or service.
yeah,
And it all comes back to asking the questions and understanding, like, hey, how can, you know, I help this person be problem aware, first of all, because sometimes people don't even know they have a problem, which
yeah.
is a whole issue in and of itself. So, Brett, what do you do to help people be more problem aware as far as cybersecurity? Like, how would you make someone problem aware of maybe something they didn't even know that was going on?
Well, um, as much as I can, I'll get on a webinar and speak to people, and I'll just share what's on my heart. A lot of times, I'll be walking in the wilderness and share something important about cyber and share it with the public, with just the intention of serving people and inspiring them to take action. Now, specifically, when we're working with a client one on one, we'll have we have a process where we do a first time appointment and a discovery call to see if we're mutually aligned. That discovery call is 45 minutes, and sometimes we mutually decide that we don't take a step forward. But the questions I ask in that discovery call is always an eye opener. And at the very least, I say, let's have this call because I can guarantee you, you're going to walk away with some actionable items that you never thought about for your business, and you're going to be very glad you had that discussion because I'll set you on a path of thinking so many different things that you haven't even considered about your business, not just related to cyber. It's a great conversation. We'll get to know each other. Maybe we decide not to do anything. That's okay. But we're going to know more about each other. We might be able to refer business to each other along the way. Yeah, that's what it's all about. It's a relationship. So, so
And what I like about that is, as you build a relationship and you get to understand someone, there's so much more opportunity than that surface level.
yes,
Referrals are the greatest lifeblood of any sales professional, any small business, being able to know that you deliver such a great product and service that people want to tell others about it. That
Yeah,
is the biggest thing, and it always comes back to how did you ask the questions? How did you, make sure to serve them first so that they feel confident and comfortable in what they've got going on?
yeah,
And then, as you said, basically walking them down the path to success and showing them at the gate and just being like, all right, you're here, have
yeah.
at it, enjoy yourself, feel protected, feel confident.
Yep.
And it's so fun to know that when you do a great job, your brand is what people say about you when you're not in the room. Shout out to Jeff Bezos. This
Yeah.
episode's full of great quotes that we swiped, and that's the greatest thing is there's so many great cliche quotes because it's true.
Oh, they inspire me. A lot of these quotes, a few that both of us shared today, they drive me. They drive me. Like that Wayne Gretzky quote and the Zig Ziglar, they motivate me in ways that people don't even understand. Like it just drives me. So
It's so interesting when you start thinking about sales as a big picture process into where it fits into the machine of entrepreneurship.
yeah,
Because you have sales, you have marketing, you have
yeah.
networking, you have the mindset on the back end that kind of ties it all together because if you can't stay positive, you can't be, confident, if you can't handle rejection, entrepreneurship might not be for you. I'm just saying, it's
No.
a tough racket. There, and
Oh,
again, that's Glenn Ross was like, I was in sales once, tough
yeah.
racket.
I love
That's
that movie. Yeah. Yeah. But I believe, like I've started my own pod called the Adaptive Mindset, and I believe mindset is a muscle that you have to flex, and we
Mm.
should never forget it. And
I Go ahead.
and so, but getting to what you were talking about, sales being such a noble and important profession, you could have 100 of the best leads from marketing, but if you don't have a great sales process, you're not going to get as far as what you could.
It's so true. And it does. It starts with your mindset because if you can get in the mindset to show up and trust the process,
Yeah.
well then if you just trust the process and do the things, a lot of times you'll get the result. It's kind of like, hey, if I swing this hammer 100 times, something's gonna break. There's gonna be some kind of damage. Something's gonna happen.
Oh, and
And
yeah, yeah, you have to put yourself out there. I remember, Drewby, I got to tell you this before I forget. I had a nonprofit come to me, and they were very concerned about their cyber, and they invited me to present. I never even thought of presenting, and we met a few times, and then sometimes clients, prospects ghost you, and
mhm.
and she ghosted me, but I was really worried about her. So what I did, I remember I was walking around the neighborhood and I took out my cell phone and I recorded myself talking, and I sent that 45-second video to her. And I ran into her recently. She said, "I want to thank you for sending me that message. It was very thoughtful." I was going to hold back and not do it, but I'm glad I did it because it was me. And it was another step of the follow up and just being a little unique and a little quirky, and and it got her attention. So
And it's all about those little subtleties that differentiate you from every other sales professional, greasy slime bag guy that exists that's trying to take someone's money.
yeah,
Not that
yeah.
you're that, or I'm that, or the listener's that, but there
No,
are some
we're
people
not.
in sales that are not, not always in it for the customer. And at the end of the day, Brett, what I love about you and having met you and watching your journey is that I know you're focused on service first, and that's how we operate, and we could probably sit here and nerd out and talk about sales and marketing all day long.
Well, we could.
Uh,
Yes.
but I'm excited to, share more on your episode when I get a chance to be on there. And what
Yep.
I'd love to know is how can the folks who are listening today come and learn more about you? How can they come and find your show and understand how this all ties together in the big picture?
Yeah, I would love to connect with you. I have an offer for anybody that is concerned about cyber. If you DM me on Instagram, Brett_Gallant or LinkedIn, 15 ways, I'll send you a document, 15 ways to help prevent cyber attack. Find me at theadaptivemindset.ca, where we talk about mindset and overcoming limiting beliefs and becoming the best versions of ourselves. I'd love to connect with you. And it's just a privilege to connect with each and every one of the people I've met and that I continue to meet. I'm in it to serve. I'm in it to learn and becoming the 10x version of myself. So,
I think that's such a great it's a great adventure for you and for anyone who's trying to take that path of development. Like there's so much opportunity right in front of us. And if you
yeah,
spend a little bit of your time, your most valuable asset, listening to the show, if you've gotten value, share it with a friend, tell someone on social media, let them know, hey, this is something I think that you'll enjoy. Because you never know how far just a little small thing can go in the realm of helping someone become massively successful in their life. So Brent, man, I'm truly appreciate you hanging out with us today. I appreciate you sharing some of your story. I
yeah,
appreciate you giving us an insight to the mindset you have on
yeah,
how to be successful in sales. And so, is there anything else? You know what? I got one more question. I always like to ask this. Let's say someone's new to sales.
yeah.
Maybe they've just happened to stumble across this episode as like their first foray into the world of development. They're totally new. What's one piece of advice you could give them to go and implement today, right very moment, that you think would help?
Take action. A lot of times we hold back and we don't execute. So if you execute, you could wait for the perfect plan. But I got to tell you this really quick. It's the story of the man and woman that waited for the perfect time to have children. They were 75. So take action, and when you take action, continue to feed your mind. I go on Instagram and watch Jim Rohn, Brian Tracy, and all these other people, and I listen to Call the Damn Leads. Listen to Call the Damn Leads. It's my mantra for this year. Call the damn leads is my war cry. But take action, execute.
I love that, Brett. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. If you guys enjoyed the show, make sure you share it, subscribe, leave us a review. And if you have a crazy sales story you want to jump on and share it with us, head over to callthedamnleads.com/podcast. Send us your information, get booked on. I'll see you guys there. You guys all know what to do. Brett said it best. Get to
Yeah,
work, take action, call the damn leads. We'll see you on the
yeah.
next one. Later, y'all.